Imagine you turn to a colleague and ask for a simple favor. Could you make me a coffee, please? In one scenario, they agree instantly. They look at you and say, "Sure, I'll make you a coffee." The gap between your question and their answer is about 0.2 of a second, the standard, comfortable rhythm of human turn-taking. Now try the exact same scenario, but stretch the clock. You ask the question. They look at you. Half a second passes. A full second passes. Then, after 1.2 seconds of silence, they give you that same verbal response. "Sure, I'll make you a coffee." Notice how your reaction shifts. Even though the words didn't change, that 1 second delay feels like a heavy weight. You find yourself wondering if they're actually annoyed or if they're only agreeing because they have to. Silence acts as a rapid-fire social signal. Those micro-delays are the data points our brains use to constantly measure how warm, competent, or cooperative the person across from us actually is. That 0.2 of a second gap is our baseline for safety. It's the tempo that tells our nervous system the conversation is flowing predictably and without friction. Research in the journal Languages shows where this rhythm breaks. When a response time stretches to 1.2 seconds, the listener's brain registers friction. For a native speaker, that delay functions as a subconscious red flag. Without a word being said, the listener interprets the silence as a sign of low confidence or a genuine reluctance to help. This assessment happens almost instantly. Your brain makes a decision about the other person's intent before you process their words. 1 second of internal thought from a speaker is instinctively translated by a listener into a deliberate act of social resistance. Our brains do not treat every pause with the same level of suspicion. We actively adjust our expectations based on who is doing the talking. If a non-native speaker takes 1.2 seconds to answer a favor, we tend to grant them a grace period. We attribute that silence to the cognitive effort of translating thoughts into a second language, rather than a lack of willingness. But that social safety net has a very specific limit. It vanishes the moment you ask a question about factual knowledge, like what was the first vegetable grown in space? When it comes to raw facts, a 1.2 second pause is read as a lack of knowledge. Whether the speaker is a native or a learner, the delay is judged as a lack of competence rather than a linguistic struggle. Human brains afford us grace for social cooperation, but they ruthlessly penalize hesitation when we are trying to prove what we know. When the conversational audio cuts out, the brain pivots entirely to visual data. If the silence stretches past 2 seconds, the listener stops listening for an answer and starts scanning your face for signs of a threat. This chart, based on a British Psychological Society study, shows our tolerance for eye contact peaking at 3.3 seconds. Beyond that threshold, the other person's nervous system begins to spike into a state of physiological arousal. If a conversation hits 4 seconds of dead air and you don't anxiously look away or rush to fill the gap, you stop looking calm and start looking untouchable. A self-contained person who can sit in that pause triggers an ancient stress response in others. The listener's brain, working with high anxiety, fills the silence with its own narrative. They see your quiet processing as a harsh judgment of their ideas or a cold dismissal of their presence. Empty space allows a listener's nerves to take over the story. They interpret a lack of approval seeking as a presence of hostility, projecting a verdict onto a speaker who is simply comfortable in the quiet. A person who naturally pauses often feels they are the one getting left out, unaware that their self-containment is being misread as a threat. From the inside, that silence is just the sound of a brain trying to hold it together without making a scene. This creates a fundamental disconnect. While you are carefully weighing your words to be accurate, the other person's nervous system is frantically interpreting your silence as a warning label. You can navigate this by feeding the baseline expectation. A quick verbal bridge, like "sure" or even a thoughtful tells the listener's brain that you are still safe, buying you the extra seconds you need to actually finish your thought. You aren't required to perform a constant display of warmth or immediate approachability. Most people worth knowing aren't scared off by a pause. They just need a slightly longer runway to catch up to who you actually are. Understanding the rigid timeline of human silence allows us to stop taking a delay personally. By managing the clock, we can effectively turn a moment of intimidation back into a moment of connection.